Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. Today we're producing the show for Forbes, as I am a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing, and we are excited to have with us today Omid Sateh, who is the Director of Impact Investments for Prudential, which just made a commitment to the White House to build a $1 billion impact investment portfolio over the next 6 years. So, Omid, thank you very much for joining us. We're excited to learn more about your commitment.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you for inviting us, and we're delighted to be with you.
Well, tell us a little bit, Omid, about this event where you made this commitment to fund or to build a $1 billion impact portfolio.
Sure. I want to give a lot of credit to the White House. The White House had organized an entire morning dedicated to impact investing with a couple of different purposes. It was a chance for organizations like ours, as well as a lot of family offices, to make commitments to expand the amount of resources they're delivering to the sector. Another part of the meeting was to give a chance for senior White House officials to have a better sense of some of the impediments the industry faces. And then third was to unveil some policy recommendations being provided to the G8 by a terrific panel of folks who had made those recommendations.
What will constitute your $1 billion portfolio here in 6 years when you're finished building that?
Sure. So at the moment we're about $400 to $500 million in terms of current investments, and so it means we're going to add about $1 billion of new investments. So our investments last about 7 years, and so they roll over. So you can expect to basically see about another $1 billion in new investments made from now until 2020.
Give us some examples of impact investments for Prudential.
Sure. This is a big, in the industry it's very big. It's a big tent. There's lots of people who have different things they do within this umbrella. From our perspective, there's three core things that we have in the portfolio. One are investments in real assets. So those are physical assets, affordable housing, charter schools, investment in sustainable agriculture, so things that are real. A second big grouping is in community banks, both domestically and in microfinance institutions abroad, so banking institutions for the underserved. And then the third area is social purpose businesses. So for a lot of your audience, that's sort of the classic entrepreneurial driven company that's creating or providing a product or service for those in need.
So I had an interesting exchange with a fellow by the name of Gabriel Rabinovich, I think, on Twitter. As I announced that you and I would be talking, he took some umbrage at my suggestion that your $1 billion commitment was meaningful. I don't want to put words in his mouth, so I will read what he said. He said, to my post that Prudential promises to build $1 billion impact portfolio, he said, yes, but their definition of impact is not what the industry wants it to be, to which I said, what industry, and why do you say that? And he said, the impact investment industry, I say that because sometimes big players think buying stocks has impact. Well, how do you react to that criticism?
So one of the things that's important to know about our portfolio is that it's actually entirely in private investments, so private debt and private equity. So we don't have public stocks, the likes of which were described in the tweet. And I think that's important because I think we do think in the private space there's actually a much greater opportunity to do what we think of as sort of solution-driven investing, where rather than being wedded to a particular asset class, what we're looking to do is to find what's the best way to solve a particular social challenge. And one of the things that makes us very unusual, I think, among institutional peers is that we actually have tremendous latitude from the company to invest both in debt and equity, in real assets, in banks, and businesses. That diversity of asset management in one unit allows us to really look for what the best tool is to solve a problem.
How are you measuring or targeting returns on your impact investments? It's an interesting question from the standpoint that many people presume that impact investments can't have a return. What are you targeting?
Yeah, so one of the things that's interesting again about our portfolio is because it's so diverse, we look at return investment by investment. And the goal for our investments is to earn an appropriate return. There's a lot of talk in the industry about, is there a trade-off, is there not a trade-off? I think that assumes a certain level of false precision. We have, over 40 years, achieved very good returns on the portfolio, consistent with sort of benchmarks that we've set. And so Our experience is that that's rarely the issue. I mean, we live in a world of such low interest rates that the notion that the difference between 4% and 3% or 3% and 3.5% is what is critical to a small organization, it hasn't been our experience.
That's interesting. It really is exciting to see the scale of your commitment and its focus on including social entrepreneurs. Are you making those investments directly, or are you making those through other funds, social venture funds?
Yep. So the portfolio does both direct and indirect investing, and so we do invest in fund managers that target the social purpose businesses, as well as do some directly. Typically, when we're looking at smaller companies, we do it indirectly. One of our sort of typical strategies is that we've identified a subset of fund managers that we think highly of, and they will sort of invest their funds, and then opportunistically we'll co-invest alongside them in particular companies or particular industries that we really feel like there's an outsized social potential.
Well, I would really love to hear the names of some of the funds that you hold in high regard, and I'm sure they would like to hear their names coming from your mouth, but do you dare?
I would be happy to list them. I'm undoubtedly going to forget as many as I remember on the spot, so apologies to those I do forget. We've got investments domestically in great funds like SJF and PCV, which are sort of some of the hallmarks of the industry. Internationally in companies like Microvest and Leapfrog. And those are just a smattering. I mean, I think we have over 20 fund managers. Those are some of the more well-known ones. I think we often are able, I think, to identify some great emerging fund managers. We've just committed to make an investment in Impact America, which is a terrific new fund being launched. Akeisha Cash, I think sort of epitomizes some of the flexibility we have. It's a very small fund. Most institutions wouldn't be able to invest, but one of the things the company is absolutely committed to is building up new fund managers, particularly diverse and women-led fund managers. And so Impact America is a great example of that.
Well, Omid, I really want to thank you for taking the time to visit with us today. It's exciting, again, to see the scale of your commitment and that it is designed to be what seems like, in my humble opinion, to be a very impactful strategy with those three elements of investment in real stuff, the banking sector, and social entrepreneurs. That it really seems to me to be a strategy that really will drive impact, as you say, solutions-driven approach. So I thank you for being with us today. I thank you for the work that you're doing and wish you success in investing that next $1 billion.
Thank you, Devin. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Prudential. I can't say enough. I mean, we're really proud to be a part of this, and I think with the additional resources can just expand the incredible work that Prudential's been doing on behalf of underserved communities.
Now, Omid, I'm sure there are a lot of people that will watch this that want to get access to part of that $1 billion. In fact, most of the people who watch this will want some chunk of that. What's the process? What do people do if they're interested in getting access to you and to the money?
Sure. So, I mean, our typical process is that we, are like most other investment shops where we both sort of source investments and identify people ourselves, but we will take proposals and ideas from people. I think it's probably important to have some sense of what we're looking for. Our typical investments are about $1 to $25 million. They're in private debt and private equity, and so that's just to give some parameters that there's a certain minimum size that is sort of relevant in this context. We have a website where you can get our contact information. For smaller things or things that sort of fit some of the fund managers, we've given some of their names as well, and that's often a way to find us as well.
Great. Again, Omid, thank you very much for your time, and we wish you success in your work.
Great. Thank you, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good.